Hi there. The Block of the Month quilt this year uses a alternate block that I designed, which I'm calling the Spinning Strips quilt. This is the block right here. I do have a video following which will show you how I made that block. But before you begin, you might want to look at the directions on the pattern and see how wide to cut these strips and how big to make these triangles. And then you can follow right along with this video. Okay, I have my 4 strip sets done. The medium and light to the darker colors. I should have them probably like that. So they're ready to go. And now the trickiest part of this whole pattern is just taking your picture that's on your pattern and laying out where these strip sets go. So what I found finally is that helped me was I laid the strip sets out like this. This is the way they look in the picture. Just like this. And then like this. So that the lighter colors are sort of meeting in the center. The darker colors are on the outside. And then we're going to take the white fabric, the triangles, and we're going to slip it into the empty spots. So I'm going to put one up here, and I'm going to put one down here, and I'm going to put one right there. Now, all I have to do is, and this is, maybe if I had it a little farther up so you can see this better. Oh well, a little farther down so that you can see this better. But all I have to do now is take this, flip it over. We are going to line this end up. I'm going to put a pin in there. And I'm going to put a pin at the bottom, or close to the bottom. And I am going to take it to the sewing machine. I will probably flip this over and sew it on this side. Move those pins out of the way. And then I will come over here, because no sense in getting carried away, and I will pin this one this way. Okay, I'm going to try 1 and 2 of these. I have made several different goofs as I've done this block, and it's just because I sewed like these the long strip sets to the white triangles in the wrong way. So let me go sew these, and then we'll lay these 2 out and put the other 2 on. I have sewn this to this to this one. The other one, this quarter, is under the machine needle right now. So the last one will be this one, and I thought I would show you, because these triangles are going to have, their edges might be bias edges. I think it's probably best if you can line up the strip set right here and always sew on the color fabric side. So mine is blue, so I'm always trying to sew on this side. Whenever you have 2 fabrics and one is the bias fabric, if you're putting this under your needle, sometimes that needle or the presser foot will push that fabric, and it won't sew as well. So we don't want that to happen. So I usually flip it over and do it from the side that has the more stable edge of it. I'm going to sew this one and lay them all out again. All right, they're all laid out. They're sewn. I have finger pressed these edges, and it doesn't really matter which way you press these seams. I went ahead and pressed it to the darker side, but It won't matter which way you do it. Now I'm going to take these to the ironing board and just gently press them with my iron because we're going to be doing some trimming next. Okay, I've laid the blocks out again to make sure they're in the right order. And now I need to trim each of these. So I'm going to start with, I'm just going to lay these like this. I'm going to start with this one. And I want to lay him out. And I have a big square ruler. If you do not have a big square ruler, I believe you can use a ruler like this, which the main thing that you need is a ruler with a 45-degree line and an edge. So I think I used this one before. I'll use one on one and one on the other. Okay, so we're just going to line up the 45-degree line, which on this big ruler is right down the middle, and line up this edge right here. And then I'm going to trim this extra off. We won't be using that. So let's do another one. Okay, I'm going to trim the rest of these quarters of a block in the same way, diagonal, edge of ruler. And just to show you that it can be done, we're going to do the same thing here. Lay the diagonal line and have this diagonal line is on that edge, and I'm going to scoot him up just a wee tiny. And then the last one. Oh, that one's already trimmed. Okay, let's lay this one down. Here's my 45-degree line. Line up this, line up 45. If you need to, straighten your block underneath. Now then, they should be ready to sew. Sew together. I'm going to take these over next to my sewing machine and show you how to sew them together. Now then, I've brought them over to near my sewing machine because still, if I don't have them laid out in front of me, I may have a goof. So they are trimmed, they are ready to sew. I am going to flip this guy over here, and I'm going to put a pin right in the center, and I'm going to put a pin down near the end, and I'm going to do the same one here. But this side I might flip over and sew it on the other side, because remember, this is a little bit of a bias edge here. I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam, a 1/4 inch seam, and then we'll press and sew them together. Okay, I have sewn these two together, so I have 2 halves now, and all we have to do, and I just finger press this. You could take it to your iron, it's fine, either way. But I'm going to flip this over, and notice how the seams want to go in the direction that they're going. So I'm going to put a pin here, and a pin on each end, and maybe one in the middle of the edge too. Okay, all pinned and ready to sew from here to here, and the seams are going in opposite directions, so they will meet nicely. Okay, we're sewn all 4 quarters together, and now I'm going to take it to the ironing board. Look there, kind of a goof, but it's okay. It won't hurt anything, I don't think. I'm going to press this seam down, and I'm going to press this one the other direction, which means fiddling with the center. And I said that wouldn't matter, but maybe it might matter in this situation. I don't think so. We're gonna go the other direction then. I guess that's the problem. We do need to go this direction. Okay. And so all the seams are sort of going around like you do for a 4 square kind of thing. I'm going to press them, and we're not quite done yet. We're going to go and I'm going to trim this up one final time. I have my block all sewn together. Everything looks fine. I'm going to take mine is a 12.5-inch square ruler. If you've got that, it's great. If you have a little bit bigger one, you're going to just make sure that your block finishes at 12.5 inches. So mine is upside down with me right now. I don't know how you see it, but we're going to lay this big ruler onto the square, and we're going to watch that this diagonal line is along the diagonal line of these 2 lighter strips. And then I'm going to look around the outside of the block and make sure that there's a little bit of fabric all the way around. There's not too much over on this side, but that's okay, as long as we have a little bit on each side. And it also helps to look on this ruler. The middle of the ruler is at 6 1/4 inches, which is this circle right here. And this circle is right where all 4 of my sections meet. So that tells me that this is the center of the block. I also have enough to trim everywhere. I'm going to hold my ruler still, and I'm going to trim the right side. And then I'm going to trim along the top, which there isn't much up there. Just a wee tiny. Then pick up my ruler, flip the block around. Now then I have 2 edges, the bottom edge, the lower edge here, and this left side. Line it up, line the diagonal line up. That should be right in the center again. And trim. And you know, if this is not quite in the center, as long as you have a square block, you know nobody's going to get down on that quilt and measure to see how far everything is. The main thing we want is a square block that measures 12.5 inches right now. From the other 2 sides. And you're moving on now to the next thing you need to do, because this one is done and ready to go.